Yo, it's Midas. Let's talk about why Bitcoin is massively undervalued, where I believe that one day, one Bitcoin will equal 1 million. So disclaimer, this video is only for educational purposes. Make sure to do your own research. So some news. GameStop is buying Bitcoin. They announced a private offering of 1.3 billion in debt in order to purchase Bitcoin as a reserve asset. So the stock has dipped recently, but that's because investors do not understand the potential of Bitcoin and what this move entails. So people think that because Bitcoin is a volatile asset that could one day go to zero or get hacked by quantum computers, that people shouldn't buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin is a scam. But keep in mind that we have the US president putting awareness onto Bitcoin, BlackRock, one of the largest financial firms, also purchasing Bitcoin. Quantitative trading companies like Citadel are also looking to get into crypto. Strategy or MicroStrategy has purchased over 500K of Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin ever goes to zero, that company goes bankrupt. And it doesn't bankrupt just MicroStrategy, but also many other companies that have even touched Bitcoin, like Tesla, Coinbase, and now GameStop. Frankly, I now believe that Bitcoin is too large or too big to fail. And keep in mind that I've been purchasing Bitcoin and also knowing about Bitcoin ever since the FTX collapse, when Bitcoin went from like 50 or 60K down to 10K and still held, as well as understanding about Bitcoin when it was 10K. I think right now with so many institutions and the awareness is getting compared to previous cycles, it is too big to fail. And GameStop is only just one company out of many who have already made this move, like Genius Group, KULR Space Company, have been, and Bitcoin miners are now holding on to their Bitcoin as a reserve asset with hopes that it will go up in the future. So here are the companies following this Michael Saylor or MicroStrategy strategy. And these are the companies purchasing Bitcoin as a reserve asset. We have MicroStrategy with now 500K worth of holding Bitcoin. Coinbase, they have 9,000 BTC. Tesla, 11,000 BTC. Block, 8,000 BTC. KULR, 610 BTC. Genius Group has 440 BTC. Keep in mind, I never included the Bitcoin miners that are also mining their Bitcoin and holding on to it. But those, I think Mara has around 30K, so they're the second largest, while Hut 8 has around 10K. So how will this affect Bitcoin? Well, it's just simple supply and demand. With many players now looking to get into Bitcoin and the awareness is getting, there will be an arms race for securing Bitcoin because no one will want to be left behind in this emerging asset class, which has the potential to reach millions once all the supply has dried up and the demand skyrockets. I believe the companies will also look to secure more Bitcoin, whether it's the Chinese, Russia, UK, Canada, maybe the US in the future. I know they said that they didn't want to have a national digital stockpile that includes purchasing Bitcoin. They'll just be holding on to the Bitcoin they seize through criminal activity. But I think this might change in the future. I don't think that's so clear set. My timeline for Bitcoin for becoming a stable asset is we're on the first stage where mid-cap companies like GameStop are on the verge of death and need to gamble their assets. I can foresee other companies like maybe like Dollar Tree and any of those companies that maybe aren't doing so well because of macroeconomic conditions or AI, they're going to look to go into Bitcoin because this is exactly what MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor did, where their company was failing, but they ended up purchasing Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and as a result of that, the company just skyrocketed. Like you could look at MicroStrategy, their stock was worth like nothing when they were loading up Bitcoin. Then once the awareness started picking up, Bitcoin was like getting all this awareness, the value of the stock has increased tenfold. So take a look at that. I think next after that is countries. Then from there, banks, FANG level companies will also be purchasing in. I think like Microsoft had their shareholder meeting in like December, but it didn't go through. I think as long as, or even just one FANG level company adds Bitcoin to the balance sheet, the rest of them will follow. So it's not a matter of how, it's a matter of when. And then finally, after that, I think it's going to be retirement plans, 401ks, and retail investors will slowly transition their assets from gold, silver into the next digital currency, which is Bitcoin. Because if you're these investors holding on to gold and silver, it's hard to store that in your home, wherever you want to place that. While Bitcoin, you can hold this anywhere because it's on the web, it's digital. And Bitcoin has outperformed every asset. So from 2011 to 2021, the annualized return of Bitcoin returned 230%. And this 10x the Nasdaq 100. US large caps only returned 14% and gold 1.5%. And this is Bitcoin compared to other assets. So we have Bitcoin worth 1.2 trillion right now, and gold, which is the largest asset, with 18 trillion. I think Bitcoin is here to stay. And like I mentioned, I think it is too big to fail. There's too much Bitcoin adoption with Trump, Bitcoin ETFs, BlackRock, financial institutions, countries, and tech companies looking to get into Bitcoin. With Trump, we also have the first crypto president with David Sachs, the crypto and AI czar, who's implementing regulations and policies for digital assets like Bitcoin, altcoins. Crypto's becoming a lot more legitimate. Analysts are predicting that Bitcoin will reach 250K USD this bull run. And big financial players like banks, quants are looking to get into crypto and purchasing Bitcoin. People have been trashing Trump, saying that, he's the wrong president for crypto, he's bad for crypto. But keep in mind that even though these tariffs are tanking the market, the only reason why that Bitcoin exceeded 100K USD was because of Trump and him getting elected. So keep that in mind. Adding on to Bitcoin is too big to fail. If Bitcoin goes to zero, hypothetically, the following will happen. So MicroStrategy, a company worth 85.18 billion, will go bankrupt. They have 47 billion worth in Bitcoin holdings. There will be a collapse of all cryptocurrencies, whether it's meme coins, altcoins, etc. 2.9 trillion will be wiped. And all companies who own Bitcoin on their balance sheet will also suffer. BlackRock, who owns 49 billion in Bitcoin, will be wiped. And countries who own Bitcoin will lose a significant chunk of their assets. Like El Salvador, as a whole, would go bankrupt. Most of their assets, I think they converted all their cash and gold into Bitcoin, will be wiped out. Do you think any big player will let this happen, whether it's Bitcoin getting hacked or people just selling off their Bitcoin in order to cause mass panic? I highly doubt it. You might even have thoughts of Bitcoin being hacked by quantum computers. Well, quantum computers aren't here yet. The ones here can't break even the simplest cryptographic systems. And Bitcoin uses very strong cryptography. Bitcoin uses ECC for securing wallets and transactions, and theoretically, this can be breached with Shor's algorithm. but quantum computers are not even close to that level. And one Bitcoin to 1 million is possible. Bitcoin's maximum supply is 21 million coins. There's only 1 million left to be mined, not considering the many Bitcoin that are currently lost, whether people threw it away, they couldn't find the hard drive. And having every 4 years means that Bitcoin is expected to double in value. So using this sort of trend, by 2035 plus, I believe Bitcoin will eventually hit 1 million. And that's all I have for today. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.